Uh, Let me just get this going. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you for joining us on Talking Sip this Saturday night. Hope you're well. Let me just get this camera going. Hey,
Hey, buddy.
how you doing?
I'm good, man. You caught me putting on chapstick.
Don't you put it on your lipstick, man?
Yeah, I put on my lipstick.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm cool. Just
Okay.
trying the new setup with this new. Can you hear the music coming through there? Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah. I lose. The funny thing with what do you call it with YouTube, you gotta watch YouTube when it comes on to these copyright thing, even though I got the rights for the song, but copyright
Uh-huh.
has this higher level thing there where you get copyright infringement and they will say to you, oh, it's okay, no strike,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And
know.
I have these other sort of cool slow music that I can chill with in the background. They
Yeah, I
you know.
see what you're saying. Yeah,
Um,
they're very strict because their monetization rules and who get a percentage of what and all that kind of stuff.
yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining me on Talking Sip. Those on Instagram, it is just to let you know. I just let this play on Instagram just for a few minutes or so, just to let people know that it is on YouTube as well. So no activity is going to be on Instagram as well. Or they keep shutting us down. Not me, but they shut down voices. Anyway, how are you otherwise? How's things in the States there, man?
It's good. If you live depending on where you live, you know,
Uh-huh.
it's so interesting a lot of times when you just think about it. You live in one state and you focus on just that one state, which is what majority of us do, right?
Mm.
And depending where you are, if you're in where I am in the Virginia area, Greater DC, Washington, there was a march in Washington today around the mandates. I haven't followed that.
In regard to mandates.
Yeah, in regards to mandates, there was a march in Washington. This group, I forgot the name of the group that decided to march. I haven't checked to see the numbers and that type of stuff. But that's sort of what's going on. And then I think there's a lot of people people in the bubble of Washington, D.C. are paying attention to what's going on with the Ukraine. I just read that the embassy has asked all the sort of spouses and stuff like that to leave on Monday. So
Yes.
So those are some of the big things that's going on.
Yeah. Interestingly, as well. I mean, in the UK here, there has been some march, which has been taking place in central London as well, in
Mm,
regards to the same mandate thing. I think a lot with the nurses and the medical fraternity. They're
mm,
actually marching. Was in central London there today. I think in light of Boris Johnson's sort of changing the game, changing the rules by relaxing. What has happened is they've got to do a rethink. There's under pressure for them to do some rethinking.
yeah.
But hey, what you drinking, man?
Some wine, some La Marca wine,
Yeah,
just a little
yeah.
bit. Oh, sorry. The march is tomorrow.
Oh, the march is tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just thousands of people arrived today, but it's tomorrow.
I'll just check in to see if you're actually there then.
Yeah, they're calling they're calling it the anti-vaccine mandate march.
anti-vaccine mandate march.
Yep.
Yeah, anti-vaccine mandate march.
Yeah.
Well, cheers, mate.
Cheers, man.
Yeah. I find it very interesting when they talk about anti-vaccine mandate march,
Right.
and things like that, because you set yourself up in a very all the way to one side of the equation. I like what the doctor said. The doctor in the UK, what he said, he wants to have a conversation with some sort of what should we say, some statistics and some facts, to back it up, instead of just going off on a limb. Because Novak Djokovic, he's now somewhat like the poster boy. He was deemed as the poster boy for for that sort of campaign, which is right. And he said, I'm not that. Just like with this doctor guy named Steve James, he says that's not his forte,
There's a guy here, what's his name? I'll tell you his name. Hang on. His name is Dr. Robert Maloney. He's one of the pioneers of the mRNA platform that sort of the vaccines are made of. And he has come out, not that he's, based on what I've heard, not that he just has a different perspective in how to deal with the pandemic than the current policies that have been put out. And I think maybe that's where it seems like we created this two sides, right? Either you're for it or you're against it. But I think it's a debate, right? Some people just have genuine concerns. And I think if we show a little bit of empathy about some of those concerns and talk to people with humility, I think we could win people over. But I think we have to do it with policies that make sense.
Yes.
And in my opinion, having, sort of a top-down approach to everything, does it work, right? So to me, it's best when we have a very inclusive discussion. Right?
Yeah.
Because when you're so separated, right, you make decision that you're impacting people that you have no connection with them. And I think the policymakers, they mean well in their intention. It's sort of the execution of it, right? And you and I have talked about this, is if you look at the Western world, right?
Yeah.
We spend, trillions of dollars on healthcare, right? I think in the US, it's about 15% of our economy, about $4.5 trillion. In the UK, I'm not sure what that number. In Germany, I'm sure. So if you add all of that bit together, you're saying with all the multi-trillions of dollars, right? One, we weren't prepared. And two, once we're in it, we couldn't turn the ship to react in a way that we should, right? And I think those are some of the things that we have to look back as a collective society to say, what did we get wrong? Because when the next one that actually shows up, right? Because when you look at it from a percentage wise, right? I think it was a 0.012% of the world, right?
Yeah.
I think the Spanish flu was 2% of the world back then, right? And we have 8 billion people now. So imagine, right, if we're not prepared to react in a very agile fashion, right? And with all the technology that we have, it seems like we should turn that ship quickly to react to different, whether it's a pandemic or any event that impact a larger society or a sort of our society. So I think this is where collectively there needs to be some leadership, whether the US, the UK, Germany, to say, how do we ensure that if this happened again, we have a response that is preventative, and we have mechanism in place to have predictive response. So we'll see. So that's sort of the bit. So we'll see what happened tomorrow. The numbers, I don't know what the numbers was for you in the UK today.
You mean you're talking about the numbers in regards to the increase in the
No. The march.
Okay. Yeah, well, one of the things about these marches over here in the UK, they hardly get lots of representation. In the sense of the media. The media tend to sort of shut it down like some on the mainstream. So different persons have been doing their what should I say, their figures, and people actually streamlining it and streaming it on social media. But let me see if I can bring in. I don't know if she's there. Hey, Deanna, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Oh, you can't see us. Oh, wow.
It just went off. I don't know what happened. It just went off.
Okay.
So I believe, I could be totally wrong, Doc. When you enter, it might want to access your camera.
No, I was on. I was seeing both of you, but then it just I don't know what happened. It just
Okay. What you do? Yeah.
It just went off.
I'll take you. I'll just sort of remove you. You refresh yourself and come back in because I can see you. There you are.
Changes that you've made may not be safe.
Yeah, or you can even turn it the other way. It's up to you.
Why am I on 2 times, 3 times? I need to cancel one. Oh my gosh.
You're on 2 times, 3 times. Or you can sort of turn the camera landscape. If it doesn't work, just leave it. Just leave it at that because sometimes it doesn't work.
But I'm on twice. I don't know why.
You're on twice. Well, at least you're twice. Some people can't even do one.
Need to cancel one.
Because you're seeing yourself twice. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's okay. I think when I could hear you but could not see you, I rejoined. So I think that's why I'm there twice.
Okay. Good. Well, O'Neill, I meet Deanna. Deanna is one of the frontline persons on the NHS.
Good evening.
Good to meet you. If I give you a tip, Diana, you're under your light. If you move away from directly, you won't get that washout effect.
Yeah.
Is it better?
No. So you actually, if you
hold on.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the direct light.
Is that better?
We're getting there.
Better?
Getting there.
Finger light is all over the place on it.
Is that better?
No.
Really? Okay.
If you turn...
just give me 1 minute, then let me just change the light.
Yeah,
I'll
is that better now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to see my ugly face? Okay, there it is.
Yeah. So how are you otherwise, Dean? Good?
I'm good, thanks.
And how is the front line there?
It's there.
What are you drinking?
Water.
Good. Well, I sort of worked myself around it whereby I got the water and I've also got the wine because I hardly drink wine because Jesus turned water into wine. So you know what I mean.
There you go.
You're combining both.
So Diane, are you a nurse?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Where about?
In London.
Okay. My aunt is a nurse in Birmingham.
Okay.
Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. Lester, how are you?
I am blessed and highly favored.
You're alive, Mr. Lester. I thought Netherlands lock you in some place and they throw the keys and not letting anybody out of their houses.
I'm just coming from Belgium, sir. I just reached in the house about 20 minutes now.
I tell you, those European countries, they're on some serious trick, man. They're just going at it hard when it comes on to these lockdown. And Leicester, you guys happy? That's all you are. You guys like that lockdown mentality, isn't it? Lockdown everybody.
I mean, we're a law-abiding nation, so we follow the rules of our government.
Hear that, Diana? They follow the rules, and I'm trying to say. You don't have any demonstration over there in your part of the world, Lester.
No, no, no,
They
no.
don't do that.
No, not at all.
So what was happening recently when all the police them were out the time and you're taking pictures and saying,
It was the Londoners that came over.
Really? Really? No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
That's what we're drinking, boss.
I drinking a cup of coffee. I just come here, man, from man with that Belgium, man. But I do have a bottle of amaretto here. So
On the last week, that's the same thing he did, and he was drinking tea, so everybody was wondering what's going down. And I mean, this guy, the guy always showing all these different stuff. But listen, guys, in regards to Diana, let's start it off when we're talking about the demonstration which is going to happen in the States tomorrow regarding anti-vax, and also in the UK today. I believe there's something which was happening in Trafalgar Square, wasn't it?
That's what I heard. I didn't log on.
And normally you're not seeing most of these things being shown. They show them as well. But what's your take as to like the lockdown now? Like Boris is saying, unlock. Let's get back to some semblance of normality. Is the hospital is reflecting a slow. Not a massive increase as it was before in regards to COVID.
Yes, but I think this time you have more staff off than the other times. And I think we should, I'm not saying not to try to get back to normal, but wait a bit. I think it is a little bit too early.
Yes.
I think it's a little bit too early.
You mean for the unlocking, for getting back to...
Yes, because at this stage, as I said, although we do not have that amount of COVID deaths and so forth like we did, but you have more people becoming infected with COVID and more staff members becoming infected with COVID. I think Omicron is so contagious that far more staff. So if you realize the news for the last week or so, mostly is talking about the staff that has been off, and some of them are still not back to work. So I think probably give it a month or so for people to be back to work. Then you can say, okay, let's do this.
Okay, so you're exercising some level of caution.
Yep.
But that is also affecting the labor force here in the Netherlands. I have a friend that he has almost 25 persons on staff that is out. I have a next friend that works at TUI travel service, which have almost 50 persons out. So it is really affecting the labor force over here in the Netherlands also. And then the Dutch people are one of the most traveled people in the world, apart from the Chinese, and so we go all over. So they they keep carrying it back, but the hospitalization rate is not the death and hospitalization rate is not as bad, but thousands of people are being affected by the new variant.
So I think if I'm sort of in the middle. I think 2 years in, we're going third year. I think we have to also look at the excess death outside of COVID as a result of the increase in suicides, all those things. And then we have to figure out as a society how we live with it. And I think before you came on, Diana, I was saying, if you combine the collective West in terms of money spent on healthcare, is in the trillions of dollars. So I think in the US, it's $4.5 trillion. I'm not sure in the Netherlands. And if you look at that huge amount of money that we've spent over the last 2.5 years going to 3, how do we get back to work in a way that will protect the workforce? Based on the data coming out of South Africa, they had a wave. Hospitalization and death was really down. Yes, it's highly transmissible, but from what I read from a couple of the peer reviews and some of the data that I've seen that come out of the NHS, is that yes, it's similar, and some people will agree or disagree that it could be like one of the strain of the flu. And if we have the antibodies, if we have the visor, I forgot the name of it that came out, if we have all those tools in our toolbox, how do we deploy public health in a way that, to the point you make, Diane, protect the workers, one, and get us back to some sort of normalcy that folks could go about their lives, right? And we have to do it in a pretty effective way. And it could be, we're in London, it might be different than in Birmingham, right?
Yeah.
So we have to figure out how we shift the pieces of the puzzle depending on where we are. I think the top-down approach, obviously, I believe, is not working.
Let me just say hi to Vanessa McLean. Hi, Vanessa. How are you doing?
Good evening. I'm doing well.
Fantastic. Awesome. Vanessa, meet Deanna Lester. You know everybody. And
Hi.
And welcome to Positive Lifestyle. There you are. I saw your comment recently regarding the chief and the Maroons, which we're going to touch on briefly. That's a lady who is there. If anybody want to come on, just let me know. We send you the link as well. But guys, listen. Just to move on from that, and with regarding the first hour, which I wanted to touch on, you have all seen the recent utterance by the chief that he was Chief Richard Curry, that he was undermined by the office of the Prime Minister. I'd rather to use the office of the Prime Minister because I can't say if the meeting that took place was with the Prime Minister. The office of the Prime Minister meeting with some of the colonels. I can't even say his colonels, which we'll talk about later. And the fact that they were supposed to all have one voice, but somehow there was a sort of split, like a divide and rule.
Divide and rule.
Yeah. So I don't know if everyone is sort of up to date regarding that, because I've sort of dug a bit and find some other sort of enlightenment to what is really happening as well. But I'll just throw it out there first to anybody have any views and any thoughts as to their perception so far.
I tell you what, I do have views because the Karl Marx sociologist says the more things change,
the more they remain.
They remain the same. The powers that be, even though the Maroons are...
Sorry, let's stop it for a second. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking wine.
I'm drinking. It's not like I'm drinking wine and Red Bulls. I'm
not drinking rum and Red Bull. But like I was saying, Karl Marx says the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Yes.
So the powers that be that were holding the people, Jamaicans or the slaves hostage, when the Maroons had their donkeys back to back, when the British had to be having their donkeys back to back, their horses to be watching in the cockpit for fear of the Maroon. Power has always feared the Maroons. And to the point that I've heard the perception of someone saying, "Why, them Maroon, they're selfish." Because everything when me I read up on them selfish, I said, have you ever been to the Maroon Museum? Have you ever heard it from the horse's mouth? Have you ever toured the Maroon parts of Jamaica where the Maroons are settled and ever heard their side of the story? So where did you get this from? Said, oh, on Google, on this and that. I said, it's the same thing. History is told by the oppressors, and it's never going to be said to be anything good for the Maroons. So for now, that Chief Curry is the one that is the vocal one. And Chief Curry, to me, is a genuine Maroon, because any person who is said to be a Maroon, who is sitting down and taking all the crap and, like it's a, a stroll on a Sunday morning, is not a genuine Maroon. The real Maroon would not be happy about not having running water and being responsible in their part of Jamaica for preserving the trees that's, responsible for 40% of the water. So, I mean, the perception out there is wrong, and it is quite wrong, because if you're going to have a policy setting meeting, to have real change, you've got to have opposing views, and then you come together with a meeting of the minds So to me, it's a dictatorship. Once you're bringing the people that you know is gonna be saying yes, 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 and then leaving Chief Curry out of it. I mean, the meeting's not genuine without him. In my opinion, that was not a genuine meeting. That's my opinion.
Well, I would say the history of the Maroons in Jamaica is a very complicated one. And we've talked before about the history of the Maroons. And I think it has, and we've talked on this before, it's a situation that subsequent politicians have kicked, our policymakers kicked the can down the road. So within Jamaica, there's multiple different set of Maroons.
Yeah.
Right. So, Chief Cower is one of the colonels, because before he decided to use Chief, there were multiple colonels. Right. And I think Chief Curry is a genuine person that he wants to bring economic development to his people at Compound Town. He's pretty savvy in social media. But I believe, this is my opinion, the way he's going about it is not a way that's going to bring sort of that economic development to his people, because it's now about him. And if I were advising him, I would say, what is your end goal here, right? Because at the end of the day, there's one state, one Jamaican state. A compound town is not another state, right? So if you move away from that and make it an economic development conversation, then you could engage in that meaningful way. And I'm looking at this from afar. I don't know the side of the government in terms of, all four party and how he's saying he was left out. I even heard the government, the office of the prime minister came out with their bit to say what actually happened. All we saw was his bit. Yeah. So, and I don't think we saw the other three. They came out and say how this all came together. So I think we have to be careful that we're not taking one side, because he's very savvy with social media, and we're not figuring out what exactly happened. And if it's an economic development conversation, how do you bring that and take the spotlight away from him?
You've said it correctly, where you said it's not about him. To me, the prime minister was the one that came out and said the Maroons are a threat. He's gonna take away their funding, and he came out when either the journalist was planted. I'm just supposing, I'm not sure. Either the journalist was planted to ask this question about the Maroon and Chief Curry, so that the prime minister could issue the threat, because it's obvious that it was a threat that I'm not gonna fund any militias. I'm not gonna, he labeled them in some sort of way. And for Chief Curry to come out like that, there's a saying, it's like a child being in a classroom and somebody set a pencil, and the child who sits on the pencil starts crying out, and the one who sets the pencil is gone away quietly. Now for Chief Curry to come out and start behaving the way he's done, he said that he's tried diplomacy. I don't know if you've listened to the big speech that he gave on the thing that they had, the spiritual thing that they had. And he said that he's been trying to use diplomacy, but there's a lot of pus festering in the boil that's been labeled the Maroons at the moment. And if you push people's back against the wall, they will fight. And because of the Prime Minister's utterances in relation to this matter, to me, if you're going to blame Chief Curry, Mr. Holness is no better. And it's been very traditional of Jamaican government to behave the way they are. Once you say anything in opposition to
arrogance,
what they represent, then they leave you out of everything. A true democracy should have, whether you want to call them the rubber rousers, the nice makers, the strong people at the table, because that's how you broker deals. You don't just have wimps at a table sitting down that saying yes, yes. So both of them are strong men, and because within the structure of the country, Mr. Holness, the Prime Minister, is structurally stronger. He's using bullyism tactics, but obviously there's a lot of things going on in the quiet, and Chief Curry is coming out saying, I will throw bombs, I will do this, because he has been provoked and they feel oppressed.
Okay, let me just
Can I?
before we go any
Okay.
further, just 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, just want to thank you so much for joining tonight on Talk and Sip. And what I'll say to you as well is, if you're drinking something, just type in what you're drinking. And what I love for you to do is also to share the video. Share the video on YouTube. It's on Facebook as well, but the emphasis is on YouTube. Those on Instagram, I'm going to shut down the Instagram shortly. It's on YouTube, Silver and TV. A few persons have come over. And right now we're talking about the Maroons. Look at it from a different angle this time, with different facets to it. Everybody's going to be speaking about it. So yeah, let's go again. Thank you for D, Avery, and those guys who are on Let's Talk. If you want to join in, there's a link which we can put in the chat room, where you can actually come on in the show and share your views. All right, I can have up to 9 persons on. Okay, let's go for it, Diana or Lester. I don't know who was going to say.
Can I go, Lester?
Go ahead.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. Yesterday evening, I was privileged to listen to Beyond the Headlines, which is hosted by Diane Jackson Miller, who is a lawyer and a journalist. And she had Chief Latibodir from St. Mary and Chief, oh God, I forgot the other man's name, from Moortown. And Moortown is right. Both are both Maroon towns. So to answer one of the... Yeah, Moortown is in Portland. Yeah, I know Moortown is in Portland. So to answer one of the questions, right, is it's not only about economy for a compound. It also has to do a lot with the Cockpit country, because the Maroon claims, and I'm not saying they're wrong, that the Cockpit country belongs to them. And we see where the government has sold a part of the Cockpit country, which is a dangerous precedent, shouldn't have done so. So that is one of the things that the Maroons are saying. You need to protect. This is a protected area. We need to have this area, not for you to sell it to your friends. That's one. Two, the other thing, when Diane asked the questions, why did you meet the Prime Minister without Curry? One of the answers given was, we didn't want any shouting, and we think they would have been shouting if Curry was there. That was...
it needs to be shouting.
I'm just saying what was said. And then the other reason they give was that the Prime Minister asked, the Prime Minister specifically says, and that was said yesterday, it is in the papers, Prime Minister said he will meet them on one condition, without Mr. Curry.
Yes.
The Maroon leaders had a meeting. They all decided we're not going to go. And then 2 days after, they changed their mind and they went. So there's divide there as well, because they had a meeting with all 4 of them, had a meeting. It's 4 of them. And they decided we're not going to go. If you can't see 4, you can't see any. It's one voice. It's not a mixed voice. It's a one voice. So there and then, when the Prime Minister had the meeting and Curry wasn't there, they started to be divided. But I would say it takes 2 to tangle. And Mr. Holness can't be saying, the Prime Minister, and can't be saying, oh, this, and then Curry saying that. They need to sit down and talk. Yes. You understand? And you can't ask a man asks you a question, and you're going to ask him, you're an idiot? You don't do that as a leader. You don't ask that question, because then you're offending not only the journalists, but you're offending the Maroons as well, because somebody's trying to defend you. Somebody's trying to say, Prime Minister, these are Jamaicans. They are Jamaicans, and needed to be treated as such. You understand? Right. So those are some of the things that's gonna be rolling over. But just before I finish, by the way, there was something today in the Gleaner. Somebody saying, I think we should take away the heroin from Nanny because she sent back the Maroons. So that is just out there. That's not for the discussion. I was just saying.
It is for the discussion, because when you say you sent back the Maroons, if you understand the concept of espionage, right, and how spies work, if the Maroons weren't sending people backwards and forwards, you wouldn't have communication to have planning. So on the outside of it, it looks as if we're sending, we're selling. But what may have been going on with the Maroons is some kind of espionage where the Maroons were pretending to be sending back the same people who are taking in information To me, at the end of the day, you had some bad Maroons, you'd have some good ones, but whatever was going on led to a rebellion, and they contributed to it and led to freedom. So why do you want to cherry pick the part that's not for the Maroons? Because to me, any government sitting there is always going to fear the Maroons. They are to be feared, because the government needs to know that there are some people that if you keep backing up us against the wall, there's going to be another rebellion, because we're all being treated like the Maroons now in this COVID, and like we're the virus, and how we are being treated anyway. You know, people who had anything to say about the prime minister calling big nose boy and something, and I heard somebody say there was a guerrilla warfare and who looks like a gorilla now. You would find the police coming to lock you up because you spoke truth to power. You know, that's what's been going on, and it's not stopping.
Let's bring in Lester there. Lester wanted to say something.
No, I just wanted to allow the ladies to fully express themselves, because when me start talking, it's a different thing. Now, if we're going to speak publicly like this, ladies, I would like you to not misquote or misrepresent what the Honorable Andrew Michael Holness has said. Now, for the statement regarding the journalist, he never called the journalist an idiot or you idiot boy. He did not say. No, I allowed you to speak.
Okay, continue. I'll just find the clip. Go ahead.
He did not call the journalist idiot. He asks, "Are you crazy to ask me?" Right? The notion to say, "Will you fund these persons or this project?" Remember, the Maroons separated themselves. They are not saying that they are Jamaicans. They are saying that they are independent. Right? The rest of the country never said that the Maroons are not a part of Jamaica. We have never said that.
Put out an official statement that they're not Jamaicans. Where was that? Where was that said? Anywhere.
Vita, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening to beautiful ladies, and Mark, it's nice to see. Anil, it's nice to see you again.
Yeah,
it's been a while. Lester with your beautiful chocolate self, and Silbran.
Hi. I was just saying that the Maroons never said they were Jamaicans. The Maroons are not unique in terms of the concept that's been going on. You have the Indians, you have the Aboriginals. It's quite similar around the world, where you have indigenous groups who have been put into the structure of countries, and the constitution and their rights been set out, and they have been given some sort of autonomy. As the Honorable Mark Golding, I'm not a PNP, I'm not a Labour, right? I'm a Jamaican. Let me just tell you who I am. And the Honorable Mark Golding, learned attorney at law, learned colleague, said that the Maroons have some sort of autonomy over certain things. Not that they're independent. Chief Curry is not a lawyer. Mr. Holness is not a lawyer. The leader of opposition is an attorney at law. And for the purposes of this very argument, I think he would not be. I know him to be a very bright lawyer, and I'm not saying PNP and JLP because I've worked closely within the legal field. So I can say that the Honorable Mark Golding has come out and has clarified the position. And by the way, I think he was quite responsible, because where you have two persons or two leaders who disagree to the point that it may start some kind of war inside of Jamaica, or some kind of friction that could flow over the pots. I think you could say he's playing politics because it would give him some kind of ratings, but I think I put the politics aside. I think it was quite responsible to come out, settle what the law is, how it should work. And there are gaps in the implementation of this treaty and the recognition of the treaty and not recognizing it, whether it's for and against, because it's there is something there. Otherwise, the Maroons would not be where they've been always like this. And so I'm just saying that it's not unique, and we need to regularize the Maroons' status, respect them, and stop just saying every time Jamaicans to give somebody some kind of credence, like you're giving Bob Marley an award for being a hero for reggae. in the Bonrita Mali. And if the Maroons are supposed to get some kind of respect for the role they played in freeing us as slaves, they played some role, be it major, be it minor, be that there was, bad people and good people. They played some kind of role. And when we're to give them that respect as a people, and they're being oppressed, just like the rest of Jamaicans, because they seem to have this kind of, because of the cultural connection and the historical connection, we don't want to give them that respect.
No,
and if we have an oppressor again, if I were the Maroons, I would not be instrumental in freeing these people, because the same set of people would come out and not want to give me my respect after I've helped to free them. I think we're ungrateful.
No, so
That's how I feel about it.
I am going to say we're trying to equate Chief Curry with the government of Jamaica. They're not.
Thank you.
The Maroons, as I said, is a complicated history.
I personally am not equating.
Let Untitled finish his point.
Let me finish. You notice I listen. I'm pretty good at that. There's no way we equate Chief Curry with the Prime Minister of Jamaica. I don't care who the Prime Minister is. Let's get that clear. The Maroons,
I take your point. And I find this point quite strategic.
So if we're going to have a conversation, you got to let me talk. You can't
go
just,
on. I thought you were finished.
Let me talk. So let's just get that clear. There's one Jamaica. The Maroons are not indigenous people, right? Because if you pass a Maroon on the street, you can't tell the difference. They have history and heritage in Jamaica. Now, they were given a treaty before Jamaica became independence. Yes, there are things that needs to be addressed, but let's not sit here and try to make Chief Curry at the same level of our Jamaican government. They're not. Let's also realize there are multiple peoples in Jamaica that need economic development. And I think Diane mentioned around the Cockpit country, that is a huge part of the conversation. But I am going to say, and this is my opinion, is if you talk to a cross-section of Jamaican people, there's some people that don't like the Maroons, and you could go back, there's history, you could go read that history. But when we look at today, this business of taking Curry and put him here, let's not do that. Okay?
I understand what you're saying. We're not putting Curry here. For me, I've always said the Maroons, right?
However, hang on one second.
Not because he's the person that comes out. There has to be someone that's going to come out and cry out. Why should you separate him then?
Sorry. Can we set some rules? If we're going to have a dialogue, we have to let each other talk. Right?
Yeah.
If we're going to have a dialogue, we have to make each other talk. Right? We can't assume what I'm going to say. Right? I'm giving you my bit. I let you talk, so you have to let me talk. But go ahead.
I was just saying that nobody was putting Chief Curry here, right? And nobody was equating him to the Prime Minister of Jamaica because he has not been voted in. I'm just saying that these people have some kind of rights, and it's not fair for them to be dealing with their issue, and then you're gonna say, oh, everybody's having an issue. Because I mean, if people in Tivoli were talking about the incursion and they started demonstrating, I wouldn't want to be talking about the Maroons. I'd want to be talking about the people in Tivoli that's talking about all the dead bodies that were thrown in graves, were not buried properly. I'd want to address that issue. We are not talking about everything else. We're talking about the Maroons who have historically, if it's on the lips of us that they have some kind of you're saying that they don't look any different from us. And they don't this and they don't that. It can't be a factual statement. It also has to do with geography, where they're located, their issues. You're just basing it based off who looks up. If that was the case, then Mark
I think Vanessa, you're making the mistake. What O'Neill said, you're assuming what he's.
I'm just making my point. I'm just saying that if we were basing things off look. Then Mark Golding,
so let me, and this is where
Mark Golding, who is fair-skinned, and Andrew Holness, who is fair-skinned, would not look like Jamaicans because the average Jamaicans are dark-skinned.
I'm going to let O'Neill speak.
What does to do with it?
And get Vita to come in. Let Oni finish your point and get Vita
So,
to come
so
in.
at the end of the day, the Maroons have no more rights to the Cockpit country than any other Jamaican. That's my opinion. Now,
They live there.
let me finish.
There.
Let me finish. Not all Maroons live in the Cockpit country.
Correct.
So there are multiple set of different Maroons. A compound town, the Cockpit country, yes, they're there. Now, they have history and heritage there, okay? But if the Jamaican government want to have mining or whatever, yes, you could figure out how to protect that heritage. But Chief Curry has no bearing in terms of him saying that he could keep the Jamaican government out of that. And guess what? If he wants a dialogue, he has a member of parliament in that situation that he could go talk with.
Where is the member of parliament?
That's a good question.
So there's a member of parliament. So there's a member of parliament.
Which constituency is it?
So I don't know. I don't know. But my point is, there's a member of parliament. If he has grievance, he could go talk to the member of parliament, and those grievances are addressed. Right?
Who's the member of parliament, though?
I have no clue.
We'll ask that question if anybody.
Yeah.
If anybody can tell us.
My overall point is, I think we're conflating many different things together. Right? Let's use facts. Right? As Lester say, let's not quote things and put it out in the public. Let's use facts. Right? Yes, they had a treaty. Jamaica became independence. Yes, we could say the Maroons issue was not addressed, but there's not a state within a state. If you read the document, which I've read, it tells you the Maroons is not a state within a state. Now,
whatever's in that treaty, the Maroons are saying that it's not been recognized and it's not being implemented. So that's my issue. We're not saying that there is. I personally am saying.
But that's what I'm saying is that my point is that's a different issue than the economic development in the Cockpit country, right? If Chief Curry he wants to address that, what he needs to do is go convince the other three colonels who has the same right as he does to say, how do we engage to, one, get economic development, protect the heritage of the Maroons? Because as I said, if you talk to a lot of historians, the Maroons has very complicated history in Jamaica, right? There are rebellions that they have put down on behalf of the British. So again, we just got to be careful because there's a huge swath of Jamaicans that will tell you the Maroons are a sellout, right? And there's another section that likes the Maroon heritage. So we just have to be careful and figure out how we address the things that need to be addressed.
But Chief Curry, though, has been nominated. If I'm right, he was nominated to it's not like you live in a community and the members of the community then, since you want to downplay everything to a community and a set of people living in the area, and we come together as a community on this forum and we say that we're nominating you as the person who's going to represent the space here, the Cockpit country, and we're going to come together and you're going to represent this interest. I don't know if you know about the mining and what it's done to some parts of Jamaica, because there's some parts of Jamaica in St. Elizabeth now that nothing is growing as a result of mining. We'll still start having to import yam from China.
Vanessa, I think that's another point which we have to touch on, but I think we're dealing with a central issue as to the, what should I say, the reach. I think this is a question, the reach of Chief Curry.
Silver, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
There's 4 colonels.
That's
only a colonel for a compound town. Let's keep the facts. We keep saying he's a chief for the Cockpit country. He's not.
Yeah.
Only a compound town. I've visited that place 3 or 4 times before. He's only the chief for a compound town.
But I tell you what.
Wait,
he's the one that chooses to be vocal and he's entitled to be. Every chief's going to behave different.
Vanessa, there's a government, well, somebody commented on my post today and he's a government official and he said, first of all, he's not the chief of the 3 who were invited. So they didn't undermine him. And second, if you're going to be antagonistic, then you cannot be invited. There is no negotiation with terrorists. Now, I found that a bit far-fetched, but I'm reading it. Thirdly, the government cannot shirk their responsibility by putting this issue in the hands of a committee. Now, the committee bit is where I made a proposal that at something like this of a high level, which is dealing with legacy and history and culture, let's take it a bit out of the Prime Minister's hands. Not saying you're taking away from the Prime Minister, but have a special committee to be created.
Where's
That
the Minister
special
of Culture anyway?
wait 1 second. That special committee can be comprised of persons like PJ Patterson, Bruce Golding, Portia Simpson, guys like Bertrand
Patsy
Whiteman.
Cringe.
Wait, not exactly. Those sort of persons there to sort of look at the war bit to come to some sort of resolution, because clearly there's an impasse. Without a doubt. There's an impasse. But I think something which I've learned today bit is that the chief is not the chief of all the different areas within the Maroon fraternity. I'm using the different words. But before I go any further, let me hear Vita, because she's been our cheerleader, but I just want to hear what Vita has to say.
Well, with O'Neill, I kind of share my opinion. It's very close to what O'Neill was saying. And that's why I decided it's time for me to pop in, because what was being said. And of course, when they were saying, when Andrew only said idiot, of course, let's address that in the sense that he wasn't talking about Chief Curry. He was talking about the guy.
The idea. Not the guy, the guy was about the idea.
He was talking to the guy as far as an idiot. And you know what? I totally back what he said as far as, you don't want me to come in there and for progress. When you need help in doing certain situation, then you need me. But you're telling me I can't make sure there is law there, but then you're telling me that I cannot come in for certain situations. So you're conflicted. You want me to do good when you need me, but then you're telling me I can't come in there. So that was a conflict there. That was one situation. But also, I want to look at the fact that what I want to accept the fact that we have one Jamaica and that's it. And we have one prime minister and that's it. As what Oni was saying, they're not the same. For instance, I live in the States, and you have the Indians that was here, and they have their reservation that they live on. They're governed by their rules or whatever in their community. But at the same time, they answer to the American government. So therefore, the Maroons, do they have a Maroon passport? Do they have a Maroon airport that they fly from? They are Jamaican citizens. And what they need to do is to come to the table and respect the government. This is the government of Jamaica. And you have to respect the government and understand that this is what it is. You are like, so the situation is that I love my culture, and the Maroons are people that I love. And if you check all of us Jamaicans, all of us are Maroons. All of us are part of blood. All of us are part of it. Again, there's a lot of Maroons that do not live in the Maroon era or the Cockpit country or a compound. That's part of our history, part of our culture. What we need to do right now is to look at where we are. And we need to have the conversation and sit at the table and understand what we are. And I respect the Maroons, and I respect that they're standing up for their rights, even though the part where Curry come from is the part that was returning the slaves to the white people. But that's another story. We're not going to get into that. But the fact is that he needs to respect the government and know that this is your government and you're going to do what he say. If not, it is what it is. So we can't have him say, well, Curry need this or Curry. No, it's not going to happen. What he need to do is to sit at the table and say, okay, let's preserve our history. Let's make sure that this is protected. Yes, the mining, I'm not 100% with that, because they need to have a conversation. We cannot mine all of that. I understand that, but we need to come to some conclusion in the fact that respect is shown to the government of Jamaica, whether it's PNP or UIC or the JLP. We need to respect that, and that it's one Jamaica. There's no sovereign of Maroons and then Jamaica. It's not there. And that's what we as Jamaica need to understand. We as Jamaica need to come together as one and respect that and know that it's one government, one Jamaica. Yes, we need to make sure that the Maroons, our history, are protected, and that's what it is.
However, though, the Maroons are complaining that they are not being respected either.
Vanessa. 1 second, let's.
Earlier I was making my points and I got cut off. So let me finish, right?
Sorry, can I just ask a question? DP want to come in. DP, I'm not sure who is DP.
Damian Phillips.
Well, he can
Yeah.
come in and talk. I mean, he's on the. If he can come in and talk, you'll have to wheel and come again and come back in. No problem. He's not
Yeah.
seeming to get through in this system. Okay, Lester, keep talking while I sort out
Yes.
this.
You see, what I want to ask some questions and I want to clarify some things, right? Now, I keep seeing people saying that Andrew Holness is bullying people, and because you disagree with Andrew Holness, him leave you out of the conversation. Now, I would want anybody on the panel to point out where Andrew Holness first said something negative or aggressive towards any Maroon person, right? Or Chief Curry, for that matter. It was when Chief Curry started to say that, you know, the independent and indigenous and we are our own state, and you know, and
When the police went there to threaten them. Was that what it was? I'm just asking.
No, the police didn't go there to threaten them. Let's
Vanessa?
keep the facts.
No, I'm just
Vanessa?
asking. When did he say that? Was it as a result of some police thing?
Vanessa, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, it named Jamaica Constabulary Force, not part of Jamaica Constabulary Force, right? So they can go anywhere. And
did they go there? What they do?
Vanessa.
I'm just asking.
I'm just being like funny. I'm just listening and drinking.
Vanessa, listen. I needed to understand something, right?
Hi, Fatia. Hi, Fenty. How are you? We'll let you speak shortly. Hi.
Hi. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a short history of how Andrew Holness operate, right? A few Christmases ago, the police federation came out and they had a strike, right? Because of wage negotiations, right? And so they were trying to strong arm the government. Andrew Holness stopped all negotiation with them, right? The teachers did the same thing, the nurses, the doctors.
Yes.
He did not. He said, listen, if you're going to behave in a strong arm tactics, I am not going to speak to you because I am not trying to strong arm you. So don't come and do that, right? Chief Curry has been saying things for a while that is not respectful towards the government, right? Maroons, they depend on Jamaica. Jamaica don't need the Maroons or anything for the Maroons because we don't go there for any goods and services. They come to the rest of Jamaica for goods and services, right? Now, to how they are behaving, if Andrew was really spiteful, he would say, listen, stay in a compound town. Don't come over here so for electricity, don't come for clinic, don't come for food, don't come for transportation, don't come for anything at all. Stay in a compound town. Right? But he has not said that. Right? Remember, most of Maroons who live in all of the Maroon areas, they work outside of the Maroon area. Right? So they earn and they buy goods and services outside of the Maroon area and carry it back into the Maroon area. But what I'm saying is that people keep saying this bullyism. Show me where Andrew has bullied anybody. Listen, the government of Jamaica have the right and the power. If you want mine and more down the whole of Cockpit country, he can do it and nobody can say anything.
No, they are allowed to play.
No,
They're allowed to
Yeah.
play.
No, I'm not saying he's going to do it. Hold on.
Let him try.
But we have
And that's why Jamaica will never
He
change.
can hold on. No, listen.
No.
Don't misinterpret what I said. I'm saying as the government. I am
who's respecting people's rights. Our government don't respect us as Jamaicans. Never has.
No, hold on. Let's not take what he said out of context. Obviously, there's a part of the Cockpit country that is UN designated. What he's saying is that if the Jamaican government decide to go mine, they can go do that within the framework.
They can do whatever they like in it. They can mine everything.
So that's what he said.
We don't have no food and we don't have no rain. They can mine. They've been used to doing. That's how our country is.
But that's not what I'm saying.
Because they can do what they like, and people will shut up. And Chief Curry has now become a troublemaker because you can't say that Andrew's been respectful and me gonna call him Andrew because you've been not a part of all the discussions and all the things that's been going on under the quiet between the government and the Maroons. So I can't sit here and say, oh, the government's been respectful and Chief Curry's been rude or vice versa. For as far as I'm concerned, them two gentlemen are strong and they clashed because Chief Curry not easy and Andrew, all right, me call him Curry and Andrew not easy. The two
Let's
of
just
them
call him the Prime Minister. Let's
clash.
just be respectful of the office.
Well, I don't want to be respectful. I can call him Andrew. I say Andrew and Curry. I'm not even
let's show respect.
All right, okay.
Let's show respect to call him.
I'm just calling the two of them by their name because of how they're behaving in the public. I'm not. None of them are saints. Let me tell you this. I do take the Maroon point, but none of them are saints, and I don't know what's been going on behind the closed door between them and Andrew that we don't know about. So right now we've seen the spillover of it, but we don't know.
Don't say we don't know about. I have certain access. Don't say we don't know about.
Yeah, let's reset a bit. Let's
I
reset
don't know everything. I'm not there with them.
Guys, I got a mute button here. You know. Let's reset a bit. The beautiful thing about Jamaica is that we are able to speak freely and we are not shut down. Well, actually, a few people have been shut down for speaking freely. But anyway, we're free to speak freely and free to call anybody whatever name we want to call them. The office of the Prime Minister, I always like to have that with utter respect. But at the same time, people are free to call whatever they want to call. I just want to bring in Fatia. Just 1 second, because
so 1 second there, Silver. I want to make a point.
Yes.
Do we know how many people live in the compound town?
1 second, Fatia. Only speaking. 1 second, Fatia.
Do we know how many people live in a compound town?
I think they said 600.
Exactly.
600.
So here we are.
Is it 600?
That sense has been taken from the devil's
No,
appointment.
I'm trying to remember. No. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that.
I'm looking at the census.
Don't quote that. Don't look at that. Don't quote me on that.
So it's 1,000, right? So let's say approximately 1,000. My point is, there's 2.7 million or 3.7 million in Jamaica.
3.3.
Colonel Curry, our Chief Curry, represent less than 1%, not even 0.001%. So the point that I made before, the district that I came from in Jamaica has 60,000 people. So we are here debating a guy that represents 1,000 people in Jamaica. And then we're trying to equate this guy to our Prime Minister, right? Let's just keep that in context as we have this debate.
Let us ask a question, Anil. Who is equating? Let's put this into.
Wait,
Vanessa. I'm asking one question here, and I'm asking persons who are in the group chat or whatever as well. Is anyone seeing Chief Curry on the same level as the Prime Minister?
No.
Yes? No?
No. He's not.
So that is established. I'm going to ask Fatia one question. What is it that you want to see with the Maroons and the government of Jamaica? What is it that you want to see?
Respect and communication. I was the one that saying the way things have been went about in the comment section, that is a form of bullying. The reason why I say it's a form of bullying, these people, okay, let me be the devil's advocate, yeah? Let's say they had no document rights or whatever written in history for that land, yeah? There is also a law that states that when you lived on a land for a certain amount of time, you can call it historical, whatever you want to call it. You can go down that route. But forget about that again. How about a conscience? These people have lived there. Most of the things we brag about as Jamaicans is from them. Yeah? Yes, they jerk pork and they jerk chicken and it's something they want to like brag and boast about all over the world. It came from them. Yeah? When it suits Jamaicans, they brag about the Maroons. These people have been there for years. I'm 38 years old. They never bother anybody. How many prime ministers have come and gone? They never had any issues with these people.
except for
Yeah, for
Antigua.
the lowest crime rate on the
And that's
island.
not true.
But
That's not true.
so what?
That is not true.
Well, this was
That is not true.
all over.
Know your history. That is not true. Because in the 80s, Edward Seaga sent the soldier and the police them up there already.
The labor
That is
right
not
them do
true.
it. The
In the
same
60s,
person.
in the 70s, Manley,
That's like they
Manley,
send them down to
Manley did it.
Tivoli.
Manley did it.
Okay,
Hello.
then why
Manley
you
did it
send them up there
also.
for?
Hold on, but Manley did
Kill
it
them out.
also.
Why
But
they
it's not the
send them up
first
there
time.
for?
Kill them out.
But you're not listening. But you're listening to what I'm
No,
saying
I'm
to you.
asking,
I
why
want to
did
bring
they send
the
them there?
after this point. I
You
want to bring the
everybody's
VP.
screaming. We need to speak one at a time if we're going to have a very intelligent conversation. It's very
Okay.
rude to tell people when they're speaking. So therefore, guys,
Respect.
can we?
Respect, isn't it, Vita? Yes, that's the word.
Yes. So what did they send them up there
One
for?
is
What was the
intelligent and
intention?
respect each other.
Sorry. So Silburn.
When one person is finished speaking, can we just establish that?
Okay.
Please.
No,
Here's
we
what
never
will happen.
finished, but
Wait. Shh.
So hang on,
Anil is
hang on.
speaking. Let Anil say something first.
Here's what will happen. If other folks are watching, we sound like angry black people. Okay?
Thank you.
Let's have a conversation and let's use facts.
Mhm.
And let's one person talk at a time. Because if not, we're looking at angry folks. Let's not do that.
Okay. Can I finish ask the question as I had the floor? What was the reason for these previous attacks? What were the intentions?
Okay, so if Lester can answer that directly.
Yes, the gentleman that cut in and tried to correct me. I'm talking.
I can answer. I can
So
answer.
first of
because
all,
No,
Only-
I'm talking to the
only-
gentleman down here. He's the one that was talking to me first.
Which
If you don't
one?
mind,
I
sir.
don't-
Only that Lester will respond to that point. Sorry.
You have to say the name. I don't know if it's me or
The
Lester.
darker gentleman at the bottom there.
Lester.
Lester. Yes. I'm not good at remembering him, sorry.
okay. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't an attack.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't answer the question when you say when an attack. You have to rephrase the question.
No, you said the Labour Party and Manley send people up in the Maroon
But the
community
Jamaican
before.
Constabulary Force,
What was the reason? Do you know?
because they have a right to go up there. That's why.
No, she's asking what was the reason.
No. What was the reason? What was the
Lester,
intention?
just call me about house. They can't just come in my house like that.
You're right.
What was
So
the
what
reason
was
why?
the intention? What were they looking for? What did they hope to acquire?
Lester, let me
What
let me
them
help.
want?
So let me help you. In the 1980s, there was a group of people that was
Mhm.
growing marijuana up in their
Mhm.
compound town.
Weed what?
Mm-hmm.
And they were part. So the government under the JCF, and they
Mhm.
had a squad back then called the Eradication Squad, went up
Okay.
there and chopped down the marijuana.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
I stand corrected.
And
No,
the
let me
Maroons
say
attacked the
this.
police. Hold on. And the Maroons attacked the police because of that.
Okay.
They attacked the police because of that.
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna come back to that point. Yeah.
Okay.
I've
I'm
heard
sorry.
what you said and I stand corrected, but I'm gonna come back to that point. Yeah.
Faith, we'll come back later.
They-
Yeah. Oh, you know. Sorry. Go on. Yeah. Finish
You
your
said they went because at the time illegal marijuana growing, whatever, which was the law of the land, whatever. Yes. Fair enough. Did anybody go up there and choose to just bulldoze the land that we're living on, uproot them without any conversation, any respect, anything, regardless who are leaders, just being human? Did any
But no,
other? I'm asking. Did any other
no. But I'm
head of
responding.
state or whatever? Yeah.
No. Hold on. No prime minister to date
Mhm.
has ever tried to do that.
Right. So the gentleman at the top that's saying, Maroon live all over, whatever. Maroons can live where they like. They're Maroons in Sierra Leone. They're Maroons all over the world. It's not just Jamaica. Maroons are not unique to Jamaica.
Okay.
They have human rights.
All right.
They are protected by international law. They are given the same right as indigenous people and tribal people. Yes, you can go and look it up. You don't have to believe me. You can't just treat people like that. Whether you think they're insignificant or not.
I'm putting on my Mayan dress because I'm a Mayan.
You can be a Mayan, you can be anything you like.
Okay.
You can be
Faith,
anything you like.
Okay,
I'll
can
tell
I
you how I feel though.
Sorry,
I feel
one,
It's just respect.
no, sorry, I got a mute button here. I don't want to use it, please, guys.
all right, I'm just
DP,
saying. Can I say
DP.
something? I'm raising my hand.
Okay, go on.
I'm being a good girl.
Yeah.
I'm just asking then. It seems to me, because of the history of the Maroons, of when there was oppression, they were part of the oppression. They were, some of them then, let's not say all of them, were part of the people who challenged the oppression. And they're residual in our system. There's always this fear of the third party leader was locked up the other day because he was gathering momentum, and anything that looks as if it could challenge the leadership, especially in a time when you have a weak opposition politically, it seems as if it's been feared and everybody's really afraid of anything third party, looking like a party, looking like a challenge to the government. And it seems the Maroons, there's some kind of fear of them like that. I'm wondering if I'm right or I'm wrong.
I don't know.
Okay.
Vanessa, hold on.
No,
Before DP come in,
I'm sorry, guys. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay,
They're having a
DP,
Maroon
DP.
third
Going back and
party.
forth.
Okay, DP.
We can't keep going
DP,
back and
DP, go ahead.
DP, please. Sir, how are you? Sir?
Yes, good evening. I'm good, Selburn. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
So I got this invite from Lester. Lester, why you invite me?
Because me know you're topical.
Oh, okay. All right. So the little bit that I heard, and I'm watching on my phone. I'm nearsighted, so I can't see the name. But the gentleman beside Selburn,
I'm
he
not
said
going
something and I agree
O'Neill.
Oh, you mean in the video?
on my screen.
O'Neill.
That's how it come across. But
I
yeah,
know.
but I agree with him. It sound like an argument and not a discussion. So
Sorry.
I hope we can, continue on that part. But the next thing I'm sensing is like there's a for and against, which I think that is part of the problem. Like there are some of the panelists agree that, like a while ago, somebody laughed when the lady mentioned that they are protected by international law and even the United Nations, and they laugh at that and scoff at that, which is true. Indigenous people, they are recognized as
it's not true. It's not true because they're not considered an indigenous group.
Indigenous,
And I can send you,
but they're not.
No. Selburn,
Wait.
please look it up because somebody challenged me on this last week that the Maroons should not be called indigenous. And the definition from the United Nations include them. So please Google it right now. You can go.
No, I'll send the document to you through Lester.
And not to be rude, they're given the same right as. That's the correct term. Not that they are indigenous. They get the same right as.
Chief Curry mentioned that they get funding, or the government of Jamaica get funding on their behalf.
Yes, me forget that part there.
So, like I said before, I realized
Can you repeat that, please?
a lot of,
I didn't hear about the funding.
Chief Curry mentioned that the government of Jamaica get funding from international donors.
Towards the Maroon.
Where's the screen
Right?
on?
Selburn.
No,
What is
I'm
screen
Oh.
showing you something.
Read there.
Apparently, it says, are the Maroons indigenous? And while they are not
Yes, indigenous.
while they are not, Maroons largely enjoy the same right as indigenous people under international law.
And tribal.
That I just put that bit up there from Google. Following on from what
What is that site from? Like I said, I'm a phone.
And that's why I laughed, Damien. That's why I laughed.
It's
I'd
Google.
like to see Chief Curry's document though, that he's asserting. The documents that he have, I'd like to see something from them as well, because Google's got a lot of misinformation.
It's just like this discussion. I can't say anything because that's Google. So, but anyway.
But Damien, remember, an indigenous person or indigenous group of people would mean that they were the first or the original people.
This is what I'm telling you. The information, and I wish I had done. I'm actually at work now. I wish I had put together everything so I can read it and share it with you. But like I'm telling you, somebody challenged me on this on Twitter. And when I shared meaning, because it actually represents people who carry on a culture, which the Maroon have been carrying on the culture from Africa. But anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. Like I'm saying, I listen to a lot of
Every black person that was in Jamaica was slaves.
Okay. We can go around in circles and
Let me just finish this point, please, Selburn. I'm willing
okay,
to
DP,
listen.
yeah, go on. Yeah.
So I'm saying I've tried 3 times. So a lot of radio, I listen to a lot of talk show, and both the host and the guests are the callers. When I call in, I hear this for or against and this disrespectful rhetoric, the Maroons, who them and all of these things. And I think it's kind of unfair, even with the meeting of the 3 chiefs, excluding of Chief Curry. This reminds me of exactly what took place, because Nanny was against the signing of the treaty because she saw a divide. And you can look it up again. The treaty included that 2 white men must live in the settlement to report back to the governor.
Yeah.
Yes.
So even with this meeting of the 3 of them going and going without Curry, that was disrespectful. That I think Nanny is turning in her grave now if she's actually dead.
Could we answer the question here? If I put it out there for persons to just answer yes or no, do you think it was disrespectful for Chief Curry not to be invited after Chief Curry and his colonels, the other guys, the same ones which they say is not? Wait. He's not the chief of, or he's not the colonel of them. They all agreed, and then from the office of the prime minister, let me use the word, the office of the prime minister, send a message through saying, we don't want the chief. Now, somebody said to me today, wait, just hear me out. Somebody also said to me today that he's a terrorist, right? They don't deal with terrorists. And it's from a government position. And I asked a person a question. I said, are you sure the threshold for terrorism is very high?
Out of order.
And I said, are you sure? Because if you're saying that, you're actually saying Chief Curry is a terrorist and he's in charge of a terror organization. Are you sure? And that is why I said this. It is getting completely out of hand, and it's getting really disrespectful. And I'm not going to say Chief Curry is right, and I'm going to say the government is right. And that is why I said there need to be, and this is my push, there need to be a special committee put together with senior persons in Jamaica to deal with this impasse, because it's going to get dirty and dirtier. It's going to get stink. And it's stink already. That's what I'm saying. And wait. And DP, you're right. I don't like this for and against. It's like we're Jamaicans. We have crime. They slashed a little child, choked the other day. They killed 3 ladies in Trelawney. They're killing people all over Jamaica. And yet at the same time, as a country, we are fighting each other. We need to have something that, and it needs to come from the top. It needs to come from the prime minister. It needs to come from senior leaders. And as I said, we go around in circles talking about this, and I can see the different views and everything like that. But there has to be a mature approach. O'Neill, you may have to lead it. And I'll follow you.
O'Neill, can I ask you a favor? O'Neill, can I ask you a favor? Silver, can I ask you a favor? Silver, everyone on a mute, so we respect each other off or talk above each other. So while O'Neill is talking, all stay quiet and listen, please.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would say Silburn is the Maroons are not the only indigenous Jamaican people. There's the Tainos and the Arawaks, right? So if we start the argument that we're going down a road to say the Maroons, who to say the other, right? If we use the term indigenous, and the Tainos won't come out and say, where's our right? I do agree that we need to address the issue. But as I said at the start of this forum, we're conflating multiple things together, right? There's the issue of the treaty, right? And whether that treaty is still valid after independence. There's also the issue of the Cockpit country and who has the right to mine that. There is also the history, the bit around economic development. And there's also the bit, and when the lady was talking,
Is there a signing sheet?
the reason why I say it seems we're equating Curry to the prime minister is because we keep saying the prime minister needs to sit down with him. The prime minister needs to sit down with him, right? Yeah. But what we need to do is address the issue, because if you go back and you read history, every prime minister has kicked the can down.
You don't give me a sign-in sheet, huh?
Right?
Who's that?
So now,
Sorry, can everybody mute? I just realized I can't mute persons. I only can
So
take
we
them
all
out.
need to mute because
Can you
people are
mute your
talking in
mic
the
while
background and
O'Neill is talking?
I cannot hear.
Sorry.
I also
No, so-
see the comment. Yeah.
So I think, it needs to be addressed, but to the point, Silburn, you make, Jamaica is facing a huge economic crisis, a huge crime crisis that impact all of Jamaica. A compound town is 1,000 people. There's many other Maroons that live out. So to me, if I'm the prime minister, why should I focus my energy on this when there's a lot more other things in Jamaica that needs to be fixed, right? Yes, I agree in sense, Silburn, put it to a committee because, again, Chief Curry needs to go talk to his MP.
Yes, and they were mentioned about 3 MPs earlier. They listed some MPs actually today just on the platform as well. So that is something. I did ask a question, O'Neill and guys and persons. The catchment area must have an MP, and therefore, but then someone said, well, they don't vote. So I said, well, and that is why I'm looking at this from a very forensic level now, and digging into it a bit more by not taking any sides. Somebody just said a while ago that we're talking about sipping and we're not reading their comments.
Yes.
Beta, baby, you need to read the comments.
And we should because they're interacting with us. So we
Yes, yeah, but I keep putting it up. Can we keep in context and the concerns or issues relating to I'll read it, relating to bauxite mining. Now that's another issue which we won't be able to touch on today, but that is something which is of concern, where some people are saying it is because of the bauxite that finally that is happening. The governor, the GOG have a right to monitor any area of Jamaica, including a compound town, and I'm sure everybody will agree with that they have a right to go anywhere in Jamaica. Would we agree with that? Would you agree that the governor of Jamaica and the police can go anywhere in Jamaica?
But we don't have to agree that. But that's
No,
the law.
I'm not. It doesn't seem to say we determine it, Lester. But we're talking with persons here.
Within reason.
Within reason.
Yeah.
But hold on. So are you saying that they're part of Jamaica, that the Jamaica Constabulary Force cannot go?
You're not talking to me. You're talking to.
We can't make a court go say make a prison, you know. We never said that. That's what we did.
No, nobody said that, Lester. Nobody said that, Lester. What we said was what the question I asked was one person said the government have a right to enter any area of Jamaica, including a compound town. We all agree with that. But Faith said within reason.
No. But hold on. Silburn, let me say this.
Yeah.
That the statement that Faith made, that within reason, I still don't understand, because
okay, say you don't understand. Don't say me Faith.
Hold on, let me finish. Faith, hold on. Allow me to finish my sentence.
Sorry, me stop drink.
I am saying.
Talk and sip. Sorry, it's talk and sip.
I'm gonna stop. I'm lightweight. Go ahead. Seriously, I'm lightweight. I'm not gonna drink anymore. Go ahead.
I don't get this. I don't get the argument of within reason, because I'm saying a police officer can go into any community. I'm not talking about your home now, you know. He can go into any community of Jamaica, right? He don't have to have any reason at all. He can walk, he can patrol, right? Any square inch of Jamaica, right? As I said, once he doesn't breach your rights of your home.
Yeah, he did.
To answer that.
Crazy.
Oh, I need water. To answer that, yeah. Miss, mute your mic. That one in the middle. Mute the rest of it. The lovely friend there. Mute your mic, you're laughing. But to answer the gentleman, yeah. We still haven't established what are the true legal ramifications and where everybody stand on this matter. Yes. So, as far as we know and what we have known for years, yeah, they have always governed themselves to a limit. So they always handle civil disputes and stuff. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
But you're
Right.
saying something
And
that I'm not
hold
saying.
on, when it comes to bigger issue, then they bring in the police. Nobody's saying, yes, that they go run their own government. And I think this is the whole misinterpretation. Yeah. I was gonna go back to the UN law. Who want agree, who don't want agree, go read. Me read, I go to what me understand. Yeah. They have the right to make certain rules within their community. They even have the right to isolate themselves. Yeah, and they have the right to include themselves, or they have the right to be on the margin. It's up to them. Yeah. So if they make a certain rules within their community, what should have happened a long time ago is that those rules are also implemented with Jamaica law. So whoever your son or your daughter go study law, they are and turn police, they understand those rules and that rules. And for the love of God, Jamaica is not a state. The Queen of Jamaica is still Elizabeth. King George gave the treaty.
Well,
Queen Elizabeth is no successor. Jamaica cannot just go and change it. They have to come here. The High Court is still here. They have to come and sit down and talk to the Queen and then come to something. People can't just get up and do what they like. That's what respect is.
Well, on
because
that note,
they say Jamaica independent.
Well,
so yes, within reason, respect each other's boundary and give them that respect and that right, and vice versa.
Well, thanks for setting the stage on that one. Somebody just said Jamaica is a state. You said Jamaica is not a state.
It's not.
What can we say that we have taken from this? Because I want to go on for the next final half an hour to go on the different topics. What can we say we have taken from this then?
So I have to jet Silver, but I think it just say it's a very divided issue among the Jamaican people. I think, and I'll keep saying that Chief Curry has made himself sort of in the spotlight. As I said, there's Nannytown, there's all these other Maroons that we don't hear from. We don't hear their perspective. And at some point in time, it needs to be addressed. But we could say there's a lot of passion about it. But I keep saying it's a very complicated history, right? And I don't think it's going to be solved. If I were Chief Curry, I'd go talk to my MP because the MP is a representative of the elected body and figure out how they work closely in coming to some resolution. Right?
Yes.
And also, I would suggest to Chief Curry work with the other three colonels. He's not the chief for the Maroons. He's just a compound town that has 780 people or 1,000 people. Yeah. Jamaica is 3.7 million. So I think we just have to figure out, and hopefully the Jamaican government will address it. But Chief Curry has to think about sort of reframing his approach because he's not going to get it.
Well, you made a good point, and what I pick up from this as well, and of today after interacting with a few people, is that being the chief is not the chief of all the Maroons, and that is where something is actually showing now, and it is very clear, without a doubt, that the communication is so crucial, dialogue is so crucial at this time, and that's what Jamaica needs, because in a way, sometimes there's a saying that perception sometimes can be even more powerful than what is, and the perception that we're seeing like Jamaica is divided. But O'Neill, you mentioned the point again is that there are 1,000 Maroons, but also the main thing again is that it is very symbolic. I think we all agree it's very symbolic as well. Guys, listen, O'Neill, say before you go, just set the room. I just want to talk quickly about yes.
Seymour, I apologize for cutting you off.
Yes.
I don't need to be rude, but we're having a show.
Yeah,
and
what you girl? What you people can cut off? What you people?
Right, and the interaction between our audience is something that we need to address.
Yeah.
And I want to say And I want to say to the audience is that, yes, we respect your opinion and your perspective of the way you look at things. And I'm going to defend my beautiful sister, Vanessa, because people are saying she sounds angry, but she's very passionate and she speaks what she wants to say. She's very passionate. She's a very intelligent, educated woman. And your perspective of her doesn't mean that you are right. Opinion, and I ask that we respect each other. That's why I ask that we don't cut each other off or respect each other. And even you as the audience, for you to come on and be negative, please don't join us if you're going to be negative. We're trying to a positive Jamaica and facilitate a better Jamaica. And my sister, I love you, and please ignore what they're saying because you're passionate and educated about what you're in. Love
my
you.
sister, I respect their views. But I also know that Jamaican people, that if, they don't respect the shots that Nanny took and how aggressive she was in rooting out tyranny and slavery and oppression. And we have become I'll say this to them, that we are a plantocracy and an extension of the slave plantation. And anytime anybody rebels, you will have the coconut and the house slave. We do not like you. So I'm black. And I represent blackness and Nanny in all her.
Okay. Before we go, got 25 minutes left, and I want O'Neill to say something before we go. As you know, the UK is moving away.
I'm telling you, unalive.
Just one second. As you know, the UK is moving away from COVID restrictions and de-escalating. I just want to ask this question: what have you learned, or from COVID? I'm talking positive. I'm not talking about just.
I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. I'm just begging you, because you said what's wrong about the problem. I wanted to ask just one question.
Yes.
2 questions. All right. Is there a fear that Chief Curry has political ambition? 1. And is something wrong with that? And which door should he enter if he would make a good politician, or if he wanted to go there, he can go and go to the proper door. 2, the money that they get for the Maroons from the United States, I don't know about it. I'm just hearing about it, and I sought clarity. And somebody said there was some money. Where is the money going? Because Chief Curry and others are complaining that they don't have this, they don't have that. Where is the money from the US for the Maroons going? And that's it.
Ask Lester.
Chief Curry needs to show. No. I can answer. Chief Curry first needs to show proof that money was sent to the government of Jamaica by these international agencies. No. I have no problem with you asking. I'm responding to you. But the thing is that we have to have some form of uniformity. We have to have some form of dialogue open. No, we can't be dialoguing through social media, right? And Chief Curry is using a lot of social media. He's using a lot of innuendos, right? And we don't need any space to accommodate that, right? If he's the chief
on TikTok.
Okay, all right. Yeah. He's on TikTok.
Yes, Mr. Golding's on TikTok.
Well, I'm on TikTok too.
The thing, Vanessa, is that there's a perception, there's a false perception out there, and you said something earlier that when persons criticize the Honorable Prime Minister, right, the police go for them and lock them up. That statement is something that you should not repeat because it's not true, right? That has never happened. No, hold on. Let me finish, Vanessa. Vanessa, hold on. That has never happened since Andrew Holness has been Prime Minister. It has never happened, right? You have persons who were breaking the rule of the disaster risk management, right? And while doing so, they utter nasty comments towards the Prime Minister of the government of Jamaica. So when you look at the official arrest document, it wasn't for uttering nastiness towards the Prime Minister. It wasn't. When they had to pay the fine before the court, the fine wasn't for disrespecting the Prime Minister. No, it wasn't. it was for the for this is for breaking the law of the disaster risk management, and that's fact.
Okay, fantastic. That's it. That's a wrap. Okay,
So
honey,
I have a question, and it's
before we
about
go,
my own thing.
no, DP. We can't put no more question. Just stay
No,
there,
but
DP. Still,
this is no, but this is.
Okay.
I just want to get this out there and it's well for everybody, because I hear the
Okay.
rhetoric need to tone down. I just want to hear what is disrespectful coming from Curry and what is disrespectful coming from the Prime Minister. Because I hear people saying stuff, but me not hear. Even Lester, I haven't heard one example to say Curry said this and it is disrespectful, or Andrew said this and it is disrespectful. So that's all I'm asking.
That's another show.
Because, so let me just finish then. So what happened is, Chief Curry, since he got elected or whatever, has been making the case and very vocal about what the Maroon is and what they're about. And I think he's just making a represent. Sterling, who knew anybody here from St. Mary until yesterday when they did an interview with him? Who knew that there are 4 settlements in Jamaica and 4 different colonels? A lot of things we don't know about the Maroons. Like you said, yourself, Selburn, say, you thought Chief Curry was the chief of all Maroons.
Let him speak, please. Let DP speak, please.
They're just saying they heard, they knew of it. Right? So I'm saying, all I see this man is doing is putting the Maroon front and front. The next question I wanted to ask is the treaty that was signed how many years ago null and void after the 800 years of war? Because maybe we can settle all of this by that. If the treaty is null and void, then the Maroon them not have to say. But I don't know, as Chief Curry said, I don't know if a treaty just that was signed with blood just become null and void because of whatever reason. So if it's not null and void, we need to respect the treaty and respect the Maroons and respect Curry or whosoever else. Sterling from Moortown and Latimer from St. Mary and the next one from wherever else. I think they're weak. I think they're cowards. And I think this is why the Prime Minister called them to have a talk with. Because they're not in trouble. And we as black people, we as Africans, when Paul Bogle, all of them that fought for us, and we're all Jamaicans, you know, they were seen as lawbreakers.
No, I'm Trinidad. I'm from Trinidad.
No, I'm from Netherlands. I'm Dutch.
I'm from Lester. You're Jamaican.
Dutch part.
All right.
We understand the point.
All of Jamaicans who celebrate October coming up years and all of these things, those freedom fighters, those heroes, they were all seen as troublemaker, like how some people putting out Curry to be right now. So I'm just saying that if the treaty is null and void, then the government needs to come out and say
the treaty wasn't signed between Jamaica and the Maroons, sir. It was signed between the British and the Maroons.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Guys. I just have to wrap up. I don't want to get carried over into. And Venice, I got to sing at the end. Ollie, what did you take from COVID in the 2 years?
What I took from COVID is that we have to figure out how to build resiliency within our communities, and we have to figure out how, after this is passed, how we hold our policymakers accountable, because we spend trillions of dollars each year in healthcare, and we had a pandemic and we couldn't react to it. So I do believe collectively we have to figure out how we do that, because these pandemic, given the globalization of our society, it's multiple different dimensions in multiple different places. So we have to figure out how to figure out what's the system in place and the process is to react to the next one. That will obviously hit us at some point in time. Okay,
awesome. Thanks for that, Anita. And listen, buddy, we'll touch base again. Thank you for your contribution as usual. Awesome. All right. See you later. If I go to Vita, what do you take from COVID?
Whoa. What was that? Anyways, I am going to look at COVID as positive. And one thing that I'm going to let people, I would want to take away is that there is a book called The Art of War. And what that is in your situation, what is the positive? And COVID is something that, just like the flu, we're going to live with. Yeah. But how are you going to live with it? Just like that, we're taking away all this mandated, guys, masks and way that we're living and the shutdown, it's not going to continue to work. It's going to go away, but we have to live with the COVID situation, and we are forced to stay working, to work in it, to be in it, and it's something that you have to look at the positive side of it. This is starting me into a more financially stable situation. Again, with the situation presented to you. So yes, I benefit at a financial level from COVID, and I would say look into what can you do, because it's not going away. We're gonna have to live with it, like how we're living with the flu. So you need to look into fighting against. I am now taking the vaccine. It's gonna be mandatory. It's mandatory for me where I work because I'm in the medical field. I have no choice. I could quit. I could keep my job and make more money. I make more money. I choose to. Yes. And Silver, you mentioned as far as generational wealth, and this is what I'm leaving for my grandchildren and my great.
Oh yes, next week. Yeah. Next week we're gonna be talking on that. Yeah.
Right, and that's what I'm doing. I'm building now, because COVID gave me the opportunity that when I look better for me and my family, the family generation after me, so they don't have to work as hard. Maybe they don't want to leave America to go to another country, because I had to leave Jamaica to come here for a different life, because you can't. Jamaica with the beach and all that was a great life, but a different life, and the financial stable for my family, and that's what I look at. So use COVID as a stepping stone and make it a positive way. Look at it. It's not going away. Some point depends on where you work. You take the COVID vaccine based on your job, unless you are financially stable, that you don't have to work with the government or anyone. Then therefore you have to live with it. So make it for you, about your family. Make it positive. See what you can get out of it. And I recommend you read The Art of War, because you'll see how to go through when there's a negative situation.
Yes.
Turn it into a positive. So that's what I have to say. Love you all.
I got the cue cards for Art of War. There's some good cue cards as well, which have 2 levels.
Yes,
of
yes.
Deanna, what do you say? Thanks, Vito. Deanna, what do you say? You're being on the front line as well. What do you take from it? Somebody said, "Is murdering people positive?" How that makes sense? But anyway, that's another thing.
I'm gonna do the COVID, but I wanted to finish the other thing, but you didn't allow me, so I'll just do the COVID. I think
when people get to ask us to say something, they sneak in what.
No, I don't. No, I don't. From the COVID, what I'm taking away is it's life is short, and you need to make sure that you do what you can do when you can do. It also tells you that we are human, and we might have a lot of things and we work hard, but in a minute, it cannot be there. So what COVID has taught me, I've learned to use Spotify, I've learned to use Zoom, I've learned to use whatever forum I'm on. I had a whole lot of positive from it, but just most
and
of all.
You watch the Walk and Talk Motivation with Silver, yes?
Of course I do. But what I learn most is just to make sure you take care of yourself, take care of your family, let them know that you love them. And if you don't have an insurance, go get them.
Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, on that point, next week, Saturday, I'm going to talk about generational wealth. I got a guy from the States, one from the UK. I'm going to tap in a couple of persons from Jamaica as well, talk about life insurance. So the next week is going to be about finance and generational wealth empowerment. That's what the topic is going to be. We're just finalizing it, but that's what's going to be next week, Saturday. Let's go for Faty.
Hi.
You quiet?
Yes. Wait. I get them.
Let's shut her down. Let's shut her down. Let's shut.
One of my final words. One, I would say it's amazing how we forgive the oppressor, but we can't forgive ourselves. Yes. And 2, what is 2? We don't have to be so serious, Aye.
We're
Keep
Africans, we're
emotions
passionate.
out tight, man. Anything we are
Yeah,
talking about, keep the
we're
emotions
Africans,
out
we're
tight. Let
passionate.
it flow. Let it flow. I know I'm not drunk. I'm just feeling good. Love.
Your paro, as I say, paro. And DP, what do you say, DP?
My takeaway or what I've learned about this pandemic, and I intentionally said that I did not misspoke, is that there are some systems, and because I was raised in the church, I don't see it as new or shocking. Like I asked this on social media the other day, if in 2018 or the beginning of 2019, I said that listen, there are going to come a time when there will be something that is made in a lab that is going to be forced on people, what would you say? And a lot of people responded and say, I would say you're crazy, a little head, it could never happen. Whereas in America, which is seen as being the most free world, are people free for the whatever. And even your Vita now saying a while ago, say like it or not, it's going to be mandatory. All the facts that we know that the pandemic or COVID-19 as a 89 point something survival rate, however, they're telling you that even my healthy 5-year-old need to take the vaccine because somebody. So what I learned is that the power, their power, we always hear this term, the powers that be. It's not just a figurative speech thing. There are people who rule the world, and they are the one that make decisions. So some of us think that we're free to do whatever we want, but not so. There are people who they are the one that are making the decision, and most of them is the rich people. Them have the money. So whatever them say, that goes.
And Lester, Sir Gaza, number one.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to
Simple.
welcome Dr. Gregory
Sir God,
Horton, Olympian Excelsorian.
as a God.
Is she
Right.
talking? She's talking, and she always say we mustn't talk when people are talking. Vita.
Typically Jamaicans, we always know the right thing to do and say, but we're not doing
Exactly.
So yeah, me big up Excel someone when we see them, Gregory Horton, big up. But the thing that I've learned most is that how different we all are as people. So we can live in the same house, we can work in the same place, and it does take a stimulus to enter into the environment, and it shows how different we are. Because I'm sure that some persons who would jump and take the vaccine, right, would think that their colleague or their sister would also jump and take the vaccine. Or some people who would not take the vaccine think that the other person across from them or with them or living laying in the bed with them would also not take the vaccine. But it also shows how different we are, and sometimes we don't know that. But the main thing is it shows how fickle life is and how fickle some of our interesting our industries are. We are in careers, we are in jobs that are not real jobs. We have seen businesses that are like hundreds years old or 70, 60 years old just fail within a few months, right? We have to make a conscious effort when we are going into a business, we are going to do a course, we're going to do a career choice, that look, even when the harshest times, right, your services, your skill set is still needed. Because a lot of people who have particular careers or skill set, right? Them nearly dead for hungry in the pandemic, right? So we have to ensure that we understand what our future is, and how our future can change in the split of a second. Your trajectory can change. So I've learned that you have to be multidimensional, and you have to have multiple sources of income.
Yeah. Well, that's powerful. That's powerful. And one of the things that I've learned as well is that you are good to go outside in the park. I get to learn a lot about the birds, the squirrels, and the bees, and all those other things. And I just love nature. I find myself so in love with just in the
You
bushes.
really live in London, somebody.
What's that?
You really live in London. Move to Kent, man. Guys, we're so excited with this school.
And the other day I was driving. I don't want to put the video out. And I was driving and I was waving to people, and they were just like amazed. I did the video. They were just like, "Hi," and they laughed. I did even the Eddie Murphy one. Hello, and people were just waving back at me, and I was saying, "Wow, it made such a beautiful morning," you know. And so therefore, as someone said, don't take life too seriously, but really, life is fragile, as someone. But let me go on to Vanessa. Vanessa is gonna share a bit, but I think she's gonna sing. If you can mute yourself, she's gonna thrill us now. Thrill us.
I just want to say, Boris has ended COVID. He's just got up and said, "COVID's over. Go back to work." But just remember that half of the rights that's been taken away from you will not be given back. Anyway, on that note, I'm just gonna have a sing.
Yeah, go ahead. You can mute yourself, guys.
It says if you try, no hell below us, above us on the sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in this. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I invite you to join me, and this world can live as one. Imagine no perceptions. I really wonder if you're okay. No need for greed or hunger. A sister would, like Nanny would. Imagine all the people sharing all the cockpit. That I'm a dreamer, but I am the only one. I hope Chief Curry and Andrew will join me, so Jamaica can live as one.
As one.
Thank you.
As I said, bashment. Well, guys, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining tonight on Talk and Sip. Let's give us an applause. Yeah. Thank you so much to Deanne.
Love you.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, for thrilling us. Faty, Lester, DP, Vita, O'Neill, Else, Scotty, Deanne, and the full works, Noreen Hunt. For those on the replay, what's his name? Doctor. Let's talk with Dr. Greg. Dr. Greg, we need to come on for another time. Let's have a little party. Yeah, you can go and party. Yeah. Yeah. As I said, next week, Saturday night, we'll be talking about generational wealth with few guests as well. If anybody interested in that, just let me know as well. We talk about entrepreneur and generational wealth and life insurance and all those sort of things. Okay, thank you so much. Those on Instagram as well. I didn't take it off. Talk and Sip is now on YouTube. Okay, peace out.
Have a good night. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night, guys.
Bless you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Same to you, DP. Peace out. Thank you. Bye, Fady. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Really good show. Very interesting topic. Of course, there's a lot more I need to talk about in regards to the Maroons. Very enlightening. And just to let you know as well, for those who believe that weren't looking at the comments, there are hundreds of comments. You know, it's difficult to go back through all of them, but they are going to be on the YouTube link. You can actually watch them as well. Thank you, Dian. Thank you, Positive Lifestyle. Thank you, Noreen. Thank you, Scotty, as usual. Thank you, Let's Talk. Thank you, Michelle. Marlon. Thank you, Christopher, Brethren. We need to link up as well. And everyone else who has come on, much appreciated. Thank you, Garrett Penny. Thank you so much for that as well. O'Neill. Okay, I'll give you a buzz. Okay, peace out. Have a good night. Thank you so much.